brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 57 in the book of Deuteronomy. Today we're going to talk about the ripple effects of divorce. So are there ripple effects? Of course there are. Now, why is that? Well, Deuteronomy is a book about it's not about evil, but it's where we do witness evil. And of course it's a book about evil because it at least is partially about people, humans. So it's also a book where we watch God, the only God, holy, 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 what he does to interact with this evil people group. So, one of the tensions is, how does this holy God make contact with and then keep contact with a not very holy group of people who live amongst a group of not very holy people? So it's an important question for us personally, because God is executing a plan that 35 years from the writings of Deuteronomy chapter 24, 35 years from then, he's coming to get you and to demonstrate his love to you, to call you, draw you, save you. So he has to demonstrate his kindness to an undeserving people group, Israel, so that eventually he can demonstrate his kindness to an undeserving person, which is you. You can write that down. All right, let's read about divorce here in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. When a man takes a wife and marries her, if then he finds no favor in his eyes, if then she finds no favor in his eyes, because, here's the reason, he has found some indecency in her. And he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of the house, and she departs out of his house. And if she goes and becomes another man's wife, and the latter man either hates her or writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if that man dies who took her to be his wife, then her former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord. And you shall not bring sin upon the land that your Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance. The conclusion is, and you shall not bring sin upon the land. So let's talk about marriage. God loves marriage, and he gives marriage to those who follow him closely and to those who don't follow him at all. So for those of you who are married, it is to be a great test of your character, a great revealing of your sin, and the most tangible mercy that you have before the Lord. So God hates divorce, and in an unfallen world, there would be marriage, but there would never be divorce. But in this circumstance, one specific circumstance that is talked about here, the husband has found some indecency. So the Hebrew means that he's found an indecency. It refers to nakedness, the genital area, so this unseemliness that's been uncovered by her nakedness. So she has somehow transgressed the marriage bed and the covenant of marriage. So obviously this is serious business and it must be handled carefully. It's a bad day for all parties. The husband, the wife, and the Lord. It's the worst possible day. Nobody wanted this on their wedding day. The husband didn't want to find out that this is a reality. The wife didn't want to be found out in her indecency. And, the Lord doesn't like it either. So what to do in this world of the undesired is what we're talking about here. A situation nobody desires. So you may have heard the term, God hates divorce. And that's a reality that I didn't get from the Bible. I got it from my divorced friends. They all know and have verbalized the pain and regret that's never forgotten. And it becomes a front burner issue every holiday, every paycheck, and every other weekend if kids are involved. So the stakes are high here. You have relational, economic, and holiness factors, and societal factors, which is really what we're going to emphasize at the end here, are now in play. So here, in a bad circumstance, he writes her a certificate of divorce. It makes him ponder it enough to consider it and write exactly what he's going to do. So if she's become another man's wife and presumably bonded to that marriage in another marriage bed, he can't take her back or he'll become defiled, ceremonially unclean. So a couple of conclusions here. I have 5 of them. The eyes of the Lord are upon marriage for sure. Secondly, the eyes of the Lord are upon divorce. He hates it. Now, it's allowed, it's spoken of in an allowing sort of way, but it's never authorized or endorsed or said, hey, this is a great idea. Number 3, here what is proposed is an abomination to the Lord. And you may not like it, but God is at liberty to find what he doesn't like. So yes, the Lord gets an opinion regarding the right conduct during marriage, and here, during an undesired, unpreferred, disappointing, profoundly personal, relational, shaming conflict between a man and a woman. So he probably has to write this to protect the ownership. So why does God find this anathema? One of two reasons: either a financial one, to the wife is getting a second dowry from the second marriage, and if she marries the first husband again, then the first husband gets the dowry he got the first time and the dowry he got the second time. That might be one reason. Or it does say defiled, so it probably has to do with committing adultery with her, because she's left the marriage in a bad way, has committed adultery with her second husband, and now the first husband is not to commit adultery with her again. Anyway, number 4, divorce affects more than just two people, and anybody who has any contact with the divorce knows that. So there's an overarching principle that's brought up here, and that is, you shall not bring sin upon the land. Now, God is trying to walk in their midst and catch that. In your marriage, you can bring sin upon the land, and you can also not bring sin upon the land. So there's other laws. How do you treat a conquered people? What do you do with a lost ox? Who gets access to the temple? And there's myriads of other laws. But the point is, don't bring sin upon the land, or bring sin upon the people group that you're in, I think is what it means by extension. So what if today, if we put our lapel pin on, we sort of get one lapel thought a day, which is, don't bring sin upon the land in whatever you do, whether that's your relational life or your marriage life or your purity life. It's not, every man does what's right in his own eyes as it condemns and judges. So no, it's the soberness to say, God is here. He has eyes on, and we have eyes upon, and we have his eyes upon us. So finally, whatever your task today, know that he has eyes upon it, and he doesn't want us to bring sin upon the land. And we shouldn't want to bring sin upon the land or the people group that we're with either. So does divorce have ripples? Yes, it does. Let's not bring sin upon the land. Thanks for listening.